Good morning, everyone. This is Ramajan and Catherine Carrigan with What is Social Media Today? Teaching you how to win the game of social media. Today we have a very important guest here, Chuck Moran, who has probably been in the writing, publishing, creating content business longer than Catherine and I have. And I just, I was up on Chuck's website and I kind of looked around and I included the link with the reminder this week. And if you remember, the link to his website is Bald Guy Studio. And I really wanted you to all to, really see what this is all about. Chuck has taken a resource and he has branded himself so that we can remember who he is. And, who would have thought that you could capitalize on baldness the way he did? Very okay?
Yeah.
and I really want all of us to take a look inside for something along these lines. I think, Catherine has done so with her orchids. I've done so with my, mountain biking. And, Snowy's the dragon guy, and Lynn's the theta healer, and Victoria's extraordinary outcomes, and Linda's still kind of looking and searching for, exactly who she wants to, what face she wants to put forward to the world. And I don't know about Kathy yet, but I really wanted to drive home this point that sometimes we have to look at the obvious. And that can be a very important branding component as we move forward. It's very memorable. The one thing that we will all remember is Chuck is a bald guy, and he's capitalized on that name. So big ups for you, Chuck, on doing that. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, and I think this is even more critical, the reason that Chuck is here today is because Catherine is networking, okay? She is going out, she's finding people that are like-minded, and she's, sharing, street cred, essentially. She's blogging, we're doing a presentation, we're, going to share, the momentum. And Chuck could be seen as a competitor of ours, perhaps. Not really, but I really just want everyone to understand that you need to find your tribe and you need to network, and you can't be always afraid that, I can't work with that person because they're too similar to what I do. So again, great job, Catherine and Chuck, on the networking. Catherine has mentioned that we do not do social media alone. We share. And that's the whole concept. And I think that we're all learning this. And maybe we share in one aspect, but then we don't in another. So this is all about sharing communications. With that said, I'm going to turn this over to Catherine and Chuck.
All right. Well, we want to welcome Chuck Moran of BaldGuyStudio.com. Now, Chuck Moran has over 4 decades of experience in the marketing and creative fields. He worked with twin coat rubber cement, try marketing that, and steel edge razor blades. Now, I think we all have used razor blades to create artwork back in the day. Now, Chuck's been designing and building websites since the mid-90s. And currently he specializes in WordPress, which a lot of us here in our program use. He loves to build sites and create marketing solutions for small and medium-sized businesses. He's a graduate of UVA, the University of Virginia, and he's proud to call Charlottesville, Virginia home. Beautiful, beautiful area. Really close to where I was born. I was born in Waynesboro, Virginia. So, welcome, Chuck. And Chuck's going to be talking to us about, key points that we all need to have in our website and on our blog to make it work. So, thanks for being here.
You're quite welcome. I'm glad to be here. I do appreciate the invitation. And I'd just like to go back real quickly to something that Ramajan said a few minutes ago, that collaboration really is key. Sharing is caring. There's plenty of work for all of us out here in the space that I'm in. And I just find that being part of a team provides better work to my clients. And I think the same can be said for everything that we all do. So you might say, if you're a book author, that if you've got a book that you've just put out and it's super similar to somebody else, that you wouldn't want to work with them. Well, I concur with what Rama was just saying. Find a way, if you can, to lift each other up, because this whole idea about sharing and caring really does lift all of us up the more we do it. So I think we are moving away from that sort of proprietary, this is mine, you can't have any sort of notion. And I'm very pleased to see that you guys subscribe to that philosophy. So very good. So I'm going to hop right into my presentation. It's short, 10, 12 minutes kind of a thing. I'm going to share my screen here and get rolling with some super simple slides. There'll be an opportunity at the end for you to ask questions if you have some, and my contact information will be readily available at the bottom of the slides as well as on the last one. So let me go ahead and see if I can get my screen to share here. All right, let's see. Okay. So can everybody see my screen now? All right, sounds good. Okay, let me just minimize this little window over here. Okay, so as you can tell, what I'm going to be talking about today is, this is a little kind of a high-level guide to optimizing your website for design, speed, and security. These are three really important things, especially with WordPress websites these days. And as Ramajan has mentioned, I am Chuck Moran, and I am the chief ball guy at Ball Guy Studio. So don't get confused with any of my other staff members, because I'm the only ball guy, but I am the chief one of all of us. So website design, let's just dive right into that right off. The question has to come up, of course, is why have a website at all, right? I mean, back in the days where everything was available through retail, through bricks and mortar stores, our front door was the one that had red paint on it, and it was out on the street side, and we would invite people through our door through a number of channels. And as Catherine was saying, I've been at this for a long time. And back in the early days, long before the web, back in the 70s when I got started in this whole business, all we had was sort of shotgun marketing techniques. And we really were trying to get people to come to our real live front door. But these days, your website is your digital front door. It's also where people go naturally these days to look for you and your offerings. So when I'm just really curious about this, does anybody use the Yellow Pages anymore for looking up something? What is your natural inclination? It's to go to the web, right? You grab your phone, you hop on your tablet, you hop on your desktop to look things up. In fact, I feel like it's a waste of trees to a magnificent degree to have the Yellow Pages and various other forms of phone books show up on my front sidewalk. I've just gotten 2 of them, and they're going to get recycled right away because I have no use for them anymore. So website design, key points. Okay, this may be a little difficult for you guys to swallow, but your website is not about you. It's not. If you're putting up a website with the sort of old-fashioned way of doing things, of just kind of presenting a wall of images and a wall of text, and you're thinking that what you're really trying to do is get all of your own stuff out there, that's, for one thing, it's a little bit egotistical, but on the other hand, it's really more important that we flip the script and get on the other side of the computer and figure out what it is that our visitors want. That's way more important than what it is that we have to say. So there's an exercise that I'd be happy to share with you all about determining what your customer or client avatar is. This would be your primary customer profile. And this exercise is kind of cool because it helps you kind of find the very core person that you're trying to speak to. And the exercise will actually have you figure out if that key avatar is male or female, how old she is. And I don't mean an age range like 30 to 55. I'm talking about 36. You're going to nail that down to exactly what age she is. You can take this to such an extent you wouldn't believe, like figuring out what kind of dog she's got, what kind of cat she's got, what kind of car she drives. And the point of the exercise is that once you know who your customer avatar is, then you can create content to directly attract that particular person to your website, to your social media. So for products and services, another key point about website design is that you want to either be addressing pain points or helping people achieve aspirations. These are two of the key tenets of marketing. Pain points can be a little bit difficult to address if you're an author, because the pain point is kind of, for you authors, is your avatar, your ideal customer, has a pain point of trying to find something fun, new, interesting, enlightening to read. But for products and services, it's a little more dramatic and a little more, a little easier to identify. So for instance, if your roof has just had some shingles blow off of it, you're going to go looking for a roofing company in your area. That's your pain point. Your pain point is that you've got something going on with your roof. Same thing with siding, windows. If your cat's sick, you've got a pain point. You're stressed about your cat. So you hop on the web and you go looking for a solution. Helping people achieve aspirations. This is what coaches do. This is the kind of work that Catherine does in her work. And it's kind of a pain point in the sense that if I were trying to achieve a new aspiration, I have a pain point of trying to get better. And aspirations are, we find them at the beginning of every new year with our New Year's resolutions. But addressing pain points and achieving aspirations are two key things to keep in mind around your website. The other thing is that your homepage really ought to help your visitors relax. I like to think of it that if somebody is trying to find a solution for their roof problems, they're stressed. And when they get to my client's website, and I actually have a client who's a roofing contractor, I want that visitor to just calm down. I just want her to go, yeah, I'm in the right place. So that's what I think about. I like to think, as soon as she hits the website, she's going to feel better and relax. So design elements. This is kind of crucial for your website because your homepage is where people land primarily. There's certainly use cases where social media will drive people to a blog post or to a services page or to your contact page or to a landing page for something that you're trying to sell. In the case of an author, it may be a landing page specifically about book number 3 that you've just gotten up on Kindle. But your homepage is where people who are stumbling around on the web looking for you are going to wind up. So the homepage is super crucial. These are tenets that I live by for my design work, and this is part of the trend of what websites are all about these days. And that's the first one here is to use a clean, minimalist design with very brief text. Okay, short blurbs are good on your homepage because they do describe something, to give you something a little bit more than just a headline. And as writers, it's fine for you to link out to longer pages, to blog posts and those things from your homepage. And that's where you can kind of go wild a little bit with the length of your posts. If people are writing 1,000-word posts, 750-word posts, there are people who feel like long form is in, and they're writing 3,000-word posts. But don't put a lot of content on your homepage. People just don't have time for it, okay? Another key element for your homepage is to use bright colors or ones that complement your brand or your book cover. Big, bold type for headlines is a trending topic these days in website design. And I think this is it pretty much speaks for itself. And as writers, you all have a huge leg up on a lot of people who are not writers, because you really can craft catchy headlines and brief text that will draw people into your website. This may come as a shock. I would like to know how many people who have a website, and I can't see your hands or see your answers, but it's something I want you to take a look at, is take a look at your website and see how big your body text is. I can't tell you how annoying it's gotten for me, and I think a lot of us who are maybe not as young as we used to be stuck on a website that we have to squint or get up close to see or put on our reading glasses, because there's so much crappy text on there that people felt like, well, I don't want it to take up that much room, so I'm just going to crush it all down to 8, 9, or not 8 or 9 point, but 10 or 12 point type. And I used to build websites with 12-point type back in the day, but user experience design these days dictates that your body text needs to be 16 point. 18's even okay. So design requirements. This is something that we really have to be paying attention to these days, and that is that your websites all need to be responsive. And responsive, when you think about it, is a pretty good descriptive word. It just basically means that your website needs to respond to whatever device it's on, so that it reads well on all devices. And by devices, I mean desktop, tablets, and smartphones. Check this out. 80% of internet users have a smartphone. More searches are conducted on mobile phones, you guys, than computers and tablets. Think about that for a second. More searches are conducted on mobile phones than computers and tablets. And the computers and tablets, the way this stat was put together, are basically lumped together. This is not broken out over those 3 devices. So mobile phones versus computers and tablets. And the really shocking thing is that the tipping point when we moved from searches on mobile exceeding computers and tablets 3 years ago, you guys. It was 2014 when the tipping point happened. So pinching and zooming, if your website is not mobile friendly, it's a pain in the butt. It really is. I know you guys have all been to websites on your phone where you've got to pinch and zoom and move around like that and kind of scroll with your fingers, and it's a mess. And visitors are going to bail if they can't get the information quickly, and they are certainly not going to pinch and zoom for long to get that information from you. The other thing, and this is super key too, is that Google is now punishing non-responsive sites. You might wonder, why would Google do that? Let's say I've got an old-fashioned HTML site that's like I used to design back in the mid-90s that's not mobile friendly. Why would Google punish me in a search? Well, what Google wants to do is provide the best possible user experience to their clients, and their clients are all of us. So if I'm and this has to do with searches on mobile phones as opposed to desktops and tablets. But if I'm searching for a restaurant here in Charlottesville, and I go into, I'll put in, Chinese food Charlottesville, something like that, Google will push the websites that meet that search criteria up to the top, and they will punish the old-fashioned HTML ones that you have to pinch and zoom that are a pain in the ass down to the bottom of your search results, because they want me, as someone who is looking for a Chinese restaurant to eat at, to have the best possible experience. And in fact, if you do some searches on your own afterwards, looking at your cell phone, you'll see that there's a little declaration that Google is putting up there that says that this is a mobile-friendly site. So they actually tell you that you're going to be going to a mobile-friendly site. So they're trying to make their user experiences as good as possible. The other thing is that your site has to load quickly. You guys have probably heard this. I love this statement, but we do have the attention span of a goldfish. We're moving and grooving in this society that we've built around us, and we have no patience for websites that don't load in 6 to 8 seconds. I've read that that's for desktop, and for mobile, anywhere from 2 to 4 seconds, somebody needs to be seeing something coming up on their phone or they're gone. The problem is that if, as Google says here, 61% of users are unlikely to return to a mobile site they had trouble with, and 40% will go to a competitor. So if your website is not loading quickly, for one thing, Google's going to be punishing you for the search results. Your website's going to be pushed down if it's not loading quickly. That's another factor in how they rank searches or rank search results. Just think about that for a second. So let's go back to my Chinese restaurant example. Let's say there's a restaurant that I'm really interested in, but the site doesn't load quickly enough for me, and I've got the attention of a goldfish just like everybody else. So I'm not going to go to that restaurant. I'm going to skip down to the one that actually is loaded up quickly for me. And what are the chances of me really wanting to go back to that other website again? What are the chances of me wanting to visit that restaurant, especially when I have the bricks and mortar experience to back up the mobile experience? Pretty low, right? This is super key. It's your digital front door, people. And when people come through it, you better have a quick loading site and one that's mobile friendly. Image optimization, I'm just going to touch on this. This is a very deep topic, but I just want to get a couple of key things over to you about image optimization. Your image files, and this goes for graphics as well as photographs, it's more pertinent to photographs, but your image file sizes must be as small as possible without the loss of quality. Quality is key, of course. You don't want to have fuzzy pictures, but your image files need to be as small as possible so that you're not pushing a 1 megabyte or 10 megabyte photograph through the browser to the person on the other end. They may be on Wi-Fi and may be able to get that picture in pretty quickly. But first of all, if you've got a bigger image file size than need be, it's taking up room on the server, and it's also being pushed through the browser and slowing down the load speed. Many articles and tools out on the web to help you learn how to optimize images, and I've got a little search term at the end of the presentation here that you can put into Google and go looking for ways to take care of that. This is also really important. The search engine optimization people teach us that your file names, as well as the titles of your photographs and the alt text, are all part of improving search engine optimization. So the alt text field, if you're in WordPress, you've seen this before, and alt text is the field that gets read out to people when if they've got visual impairments. People with visual impairment typically have a reader that will read through a web page to them, and if your alt text says img_4825.jpg, that's what that JAWS reader is going to read to that person. That's not very instructive. It doesn't help them at all. On the other hand, if it gets down to that image and it says image or whatever it says, and then it reads out, lovely orchid planted by Catherine on March 25th is now coming to bloom, that kind of thing actually educates people, and it will help your search engine optimization. And the file name should actually reflect that. Your file names in WordPress should not be img_4825.jpg. They should actually be a shortened version of what I just said, but something along the idea of Catherine Kerrigan, orchids, and beautiful spring, something like that really does have an English sounding name as opposed to sort of a code sounding name. Another key thing that you need to be paying attention to with website design and development is email marketing. It's really all about your list. List building has gotten to be, I think it's overwhelming to a lot of people, and they don't really know how to do it well, so they kind of push that off to the side. But when you think about it, your website and your email list are really the only platforms that you have completely under your control. All of us who do social media marketing are really living on rented land in a way. We're building platforms for people on rented land, and as we've seen recently with Facebook has just come out with a brand new competitor to Snapchat. It's really cool, but they're undergoing change after change after change every day. And you do need to keep up with those things, but there's the possibility that Zuckerberg might buy Snapchat one of these days. It's not going to happen because it just went public, but he might buy it and crush it. Just put it away, put it out of its misery. And if your whole if your whole marketing is based on Snapchat, you're toast. You've got to start over. So your website and your email list are really the two things that are under your control. I completely advocate for you all to add email marketing to your social media mix in order to drive traffic to your website. And this is a subject for a much bigger seminar at some point, but it's super important that you develop a list and then maintain it and then get information out to your clientele. The one I always start my clients off on is MailChimp. There are a lot of others out there, Constant Contact, Aweber, Infusionsoft. But the way you capture email addresses is to have a form that's easy to find on your website so that people can sign up. And of course, you want to have an ethical bribe, or we call it a lead magnet, so that people feel enticed to drop their email in exchange for, you know, a free chapter or a rundown on lists are great. The top 10 things to do, or even the top 10 things not to do that you think your customer avatar will appreciate. Those are really good lead magnets. The last section I'm going to touch on here is maintenance and security. This is bad news, guys, but it's the truth. Your WordPress website is under attack. The good news and bad news about WordPress is that some 30% of all the websites on the planet are built on WordPress. And the good news about that is that it's an incredibly robust and attractive platform. People are constantly improving it. The WordPress core software itself is constantly being updated, often to prevent or to plug security holes. But it's also welcomed in a lot of, there are 30-some thousand plugins that have been developed that help us all build things like calendars into our websites and improve functionality. The problem is that WordPress, by virtue of it being so popular, is also very attractive to bad guys. So you maintain your car, right? You keep air in the tires, you put oil in the crankcase, not hopefully the other way around, but you pay attention to your car. It's not going to go anywhere if you're not maintaining it. If Rama's not got air in his bike tires, then I literally had a dream about riding around on my bicycle with a flat front tire. I don't know, that just popped into my head. It's debilitating. It's depressing to be riding on a flat tire, I can tell you, even in a dream. But you have to use the same kind of maintenance thought process on your website. So the whole idea is to make it tough for bad guys to get in. This is just like protecting your home, no different. If you live in a neighborhood that's had some break-ins, you're certainly going to protect the front and the back of your home. And the whole idea is to try to get your home to be not as attractive as maybe the one next door. Nobody, and you know, Target and the U.S. Army, every website can be hacked. That's just the hard truth of it. But what you want to do is make yours as resistant to attack as possible. And again, I can't see everybody out there, but I would love to know how many people are using the word admin for their login. This is the most brute force attack term in WordPress that the bad guys use to try to break into sites with brute force. I've got a security plugin on my website, and I routinely see that I had 20 people try to get into my website using admin because it's the most widely used one. And if you're using admin, you might also be using the word password for your password. Stop it. Don't do that. So a couple of quick tips. You're going to want to make a backup of your website before updating plugins. Some of this you all either know or you hire out, but make sure that you do back up your website before you update plugins, because plugins may not, this version of this plugin compared to, when it's put in conjunction to WordPress or a plugin of this version may not play nicely together, and they can take your site offline, which is a very freaky experience. Make sure that your WordPress core software is updated. Most of the time, your WordPress is being updated automatically. You should make sure that it is, and you should add a security plugin to the mix to make sure that you're, again, trying to put a deadbolt on your website. This is also really important, is to check your website several times a week. Things change dynamically. WordPress is a dynamically built platform, and if you've got anything going on in the way of auto updates, you really need to know whether your website is functional or not, and not wait for your sister to call you and say, hey, what the hell's going on with your website? I can't see it anymore. So make sure you're checking. So here are a couple of resources as I conclude. I would suggest that for the image optimization piece that you search under optimize WordPress images, assuming your website is built on WordPress. If not, replace that word WordPress with whatever your platform is, Joomla or Drupal or Flat HTML. And look at plugins too. There are a few out there. There's one called WP Smush It that actually will help you optimize your images and crush that file size down without loss of quality. Here are a couple of tools for speed tests to see how fast your website actually is loading. And most of these will actually tell you where you need to get some work done on speeding up your website. They'll tell you that your images need to be optimized, for instance. My favorite backup plugin is Updraft Plus. I've got that on all of my clients' websites, and it's super easy to set up and use. It allows you to make local copies of your backups, to make routine backups, and to actually send your backups to the cloud. So it has a way to send them up to Amazon, Dropbox, any number of cloud-based storage units. My favorite security plugin is WordFence. There's another one called Securi, just like it sounds, but it ends with an I. It's sort of Fords and Chevys. WordFence and Securi are the two top ones that are out there, I think you'll find. One of the experts that I talked to in the security field said that one of the reasons that we really need to be paying attention to the back end of our websites and making sure our plugins are up to date has to do with the fact that periodically you need to think about cracking into a website the way a bad guy does. The bad guys, unlike us, including me, are out there looking on the web for plugins that announce on their own websites that they've discovered a security hole. So let's say you're using a slider that has that's got really wide distribution for the top of your website, or it's widely distributed and lots of people have it installed. If they put up a notice on their website that says we've just discovered a security flaw, the bad guys are going to see that, and they're going to realize that there are tens of thousands of websites that now have that unupdated plugin. And that gives them, a raft of things to get out there and try to hack into. I'm just going to mention this one more time. If you don't know how to change your admin login, get in touch with me and I'll help you. But that's got to go, people. All right, so I'm a resource. Contact me. You can check out my website at baldguystudio.com. There's a contact page on there. If you've got questions, I'll be happy to see what I can do to help you out. My friend John Matthews and I are working with independent authors to do marketing and publishing. What we do is book cover design, interior page layouts. We handle onboarding onto Kindle, create basic branding, and design your website, and initiate email marketing. So a lot of the things that we've talked about here, we're doing this in particular for authors. And one of the reasons that I'm on this webinar today is that I need a partner to help my clients go deeper with social media marketing. Thus, my budding partnership with Catherine and Ramajan. So I think what I've seen so far of their coursework looks really good, and I certainly encourage people to jump on and learn more about that and get involved so that you can be trained to do your own social. So thank you very much. I appreciate the gift of your time today, and for all of you attending today or watching the replay of this or my slide deck, which will be furnished. I'll be happy to provide a 15-minute evaluation of your website. All I ask you to do is send an email to chuck@baldguystudio.com with "Let's do this" in the subject line. And I'll be happy to schedule a time with you to get that done. So that is all I've got. I don't know if there are any questions you want to ask at this point, or if you want to save those to the end of the webinar. What do you think, Catherine?
Okay, well, first of all, this is totally awesome. We really appreciate what you shared with us, and we all certainly learned a lot from your comments.
Good.
So my first question is that you mentioned that you have a methodology, if you will, to help us figure out what our avatar is. So again, for those of us who are listening, your avatar is your ideal customer. So Chuck, would you be willing to walk us all through that process of figuring out who our ideal customer is? I don't know if that is something to do.
Hey, Catherine, can we stop this recording real quick and move to the other computer? I want to keep this presentation short and sweet. It was really a great presentation. This has been What is Social Media Today? Teaching you how to win the game of social media with Catherine Carrigan and Rama John. Today's guest was Chuck Moran, and we will be moving to a Q&A recording now.